Yeah, and I know the cost. I mean, the cost isn't outrageous either compared to other luxury. And I know you're calling this Space Perspective is calling this a luxury travel, a luxury space travel company, which is I know it very much is. But the cost isn't going to be inaccessible, and I imagine with scaling in the future, that could also change as well.
Yeah, that's right. So if you think that going to something like the International Space Station, is 50 million plus or something like that,
Yeah.
okay, that's not for everyone. We are what's called a suborbital flight, which means we go up to space and then come back down again. So the same as other companies that you will have seen go there with rockets. And those cost anywhere from 450K, $1 million plus a seat. And so we are able to offer it at $125,000 a seat. And right now, what's cool is people can just get their a ticket for a $1,000 refundable deposit. So you can go online and get your ticket to space. Oh, and we take crypto, which is also pretty cool.
So you mentioned the other, I guess you would call them competitors, but the other people, the other companies pursuing this kind of travel, and the other companies already doing this kind of travel. I mean, what makes Space Perspective different from Blue Origin or from SpaceX or Virgin Galactic?
Right.
Yeah.
So the huge difference, I mean, it is an enormous experiential difference. So I think when most people think about space travel, they think about discomfort, training, special suits, high G's, rockets, noise, vibration, all of that, right? I mean, that's part of the excitement of watching a rocket launch is the energy it takes to get up out of the gravity well. Well, for us, it is completely the opposite. It's silent, it's graceful when it launches. You're going to space at 12 miles an hour. So it's this very gentle rise up to space. You'll have hours in space to enjoy this incredible view. You're in a space lounge, which, just by the name gives you a sense that it's this very comfortable capsule that gives you this incredible 360-degree view. You can be sitting there with your loved ones, chatting and sharing it with people in the capsule and people on the ground. There's a bar on board, so you can have, a cuisine and a beverage experience while you're up there. Of course, there's a loo. It's just completely reimagined what this experience of space travel can be, so that so many more people are going to be able to go.
Yeah, and I am like the way you're describing it, the way you described it, I've heard you describe it. It doesn't even seem as it seems like getting on an airplane is a step up in, like you mentioned, the experience, the relative experience of simply floating upwards in a balloon. And it,
Yeah, so
yeah,
you won't get so the big difference in experience there between this and sort of flying in an airplane is that an airplane is going through the air, and so that's where quite fast. So
okay.
that's where you get turbulence and things like that. With this, you're not even going to really feel turbulence. It's very smooth.
So I know one thing it won't have is the feeling of weightlessness. That won't be available to Space Perspective users.
So you're right. So the weightlessness is about the particular kind of flight that you do, or whether you're going 17,500 miles an hour, like the International Space Station, for instance. So what's interesting about that is that if you really want to get it, you can get it on an airplane. There are zero-G flights in an
Yeah.
airplane. And honestly, for many people, the zero-G experience is distracting because don't necessarily feel your best. So what we've done is really separated those experiences. So when you go up to space, you are there able to really fully focus on that experience of seeing Earth in space. And I think that's really critical because, when we think about this experience, we're not just going up there to see a pretty view. When you talk to astronauts about their experience of seeing Earth in space, I mean, it's deeply moving, and it changes their perspective for the rest of their lives. So being able to give people time to really focus on this incredible view of our beautiful planet, that thin blue line, that iconic blue line that we see in the images, but see it for real with the curved horizon against the black sky so that our sun looks like a giant star. I mean, it's just going to be really extraordinary. There's no question about it. So being able to really separate that from any other aspect of spaceflight, I think is actually quite a plus for people.
I have a few more questions about the experience, but I did want to ask about that. I mean, there does seem to be something to be said about the impact of this on anyone who gets that view, like you mentioned, or is being able to have that perspective. I mean, from the people you've spoken to, I mean, what's the impact of a journey like that, and sort of the perspective it provides to people, especially here on Earth, when you very rarely ever get that perspective.
No, I think that's right. So there's been some studies done to look at, does this actually change behavior? And what's interesting is that when you look at astronauts when they've been in space, and I'm talking NASA astronauts, you find that they get much more involved in social and environmental causes when they return from space than before they left. So it actually tends to change not just your perspective, but through that perspective change also perhaps changes your life's focus a little bit, or expands it a little bit. So I am expecting that some percentage of our customers are really going to resonate with that experience. And I love to think about what effect that has on society when we've had thousands, hundreds of thousands, eventually millions of people going to space and having this experience of sort of becoming one with the human family on Spaceship Earth, and having that realization that you are a crew member on Spaceship Earth, I think is incredibly important. And it will have a ripple effect across society. I think is an exciting thing for us to get up every day in the morning and work on.
This is Dan McCarthy, and you're listening to the Check In Podcast.